Hey everyone, Jim Coventry from RotoWire here. We're going over the takeaways from week 16. Remember, it was week 16 used to be Fantasy Championship week. Not that anymore. Week 17 next week. Hopefully, many of you are there. We are excited to have some fun today. I'll be looking this way and that way. I've got Instagram here, got Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all over the place. If you are on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. I'd appreciate it greatly. It would mean a whole lot. If you want a couple of days of free access at RotoWire behind the paywall with no credit card needed, if you're on Twitter, YouTube, and all the good stuff, you can see it right there. RotoWire.com/try. Ricardo made it to the championship. Congratulations. You got one more big week. Pull off a win and take home the hardware. Very, very nice. Or the money, whatever it is in your case. Hardware for me. That's what I always like from my end. But money's even better. All right. See what we got. We got some takeaways. So look, man, Tua Tagovailoa, he's in trouble right now. That matchup against the Packers could not have been better. They play a softer zone. Those are the windows he likes to throw. And now the Packers can get some pressure. They got some pressure, but they aren't like the highest pressure team in the league. They have injured. Rashawn Gary's been out. This was a game where Tua should have crushed, and he had those big plays. And those did work out, but he is seeing ghosts right now, in my opinion. When he's perceiving pressure, it is not good. Throwing 3 interceptions and coughing up that game to the Packers, that was not good. And this week, he's playing Bill Belichick, and they already know. So, hey, Isaac. So one thing we saw this week in Green Bay, they didn't do the book that's out of Miami. They didn't press the receivers. They stayed in their zone, which was perfect for Tua. And he got the 300 yards, that's fine, but 3 picks just not cutting it, right? And so now Bill Belichick, we know he doesn't have the talent in the secondary, but he can enact a game plan, and they are going to get some pressure. They are going to, I'm almost certain they're going to try to jam the receivers and make Tua dump the ball in the bucket, where he does not like to throw the ball. It's his greatest struggle. So this could be a problem. And unfortunately, this is going to really haunt Miami. Now, Miami should make the playoffs, but if they do make the playoffs, this game plan's out on them. And if that book on Tua, if the team thinks in the offseason that they're not going to be able to have this quarterback figure it out, that's some long-term franchise decisions they have to make about their quarterback position. Earlier in the season, like in the preseason, remember, there was talk that they were wondering, maybe Teddy Bridgewater would be a better fit, which is kind of a joke, but maybe not. But Tua is going to have to figure some things out. And I don't know how he does it, but he can. I like the kid. I hope he has a lot of, he has a lot of talent, but he's got to figure it out. But right now, not good. Cam Akers. So I was in on him in draft season, and it was horrible. Horrible. Could not have been worse. One of the worst busts. Now, dude looks great. And it's not like defenses are going in worried about Baker Mayfield. They're worried more about the run, right? Man, he lit it up. Now, let's face it. Denver didn't show up for that game. Real simple. Denver did not show up. Their coach got fired. Smart, whatever. They didn't show. But Akers looked good. He's been 4 yards a carry for like 6 weeks now. Last week's game, he looked solid, 100 scrimmage yards. This week, 3 touchdowns. Again, the opponent, whatnot. I know you can run on Denver. Their season-long numbers are very misleading. But right now, I am struggling on how I am going to project Cam Akers for last year, because I'm that guy. I try not to get stuck in take lock. Like, I liked him when the season started, but I understood what he was by the 5th, 6th game, and it was like, well, is what it is. But now it's a different version of that back, so it's going to be a very interesting projection and to see where his ADP shakes out. Tampa Bay Buccaneers next. Oh my gosh, this isn't getting fixed. This is not getting fixed. This was a matchup. It could not have been better for them. The Cardinals, Byron Murphy was down. Their secondary was bad as it starts. They don't have a good run defense. Hey, Sauger. So that was problematic. And yet, Brady, they win the game. Great. Beautifully win. But ultimately, the Cowboys got to be excited, because right now the Cowboys are like a lock for that 5 spot. And obviously, who are they going to play? The 4 spot. At least that's got to wait. It's got to be right. Yeah, right. That'll be it. So they're going to be playing Tampa Bay in the first round. And oh my gosh, there's no way Brady's pulling that one out. It's not going to happen. And I know Dallas is what they are, but Dallas will be okay here. In this upcoming week, that Thursday night game, I'll be breaking that down for Monkey Knife Fight a little later in the week. understand this. Dallas is in trouble in that game because Dallas has their seeding pretty much locked. They had the big win over Philly. I think they're really going to choke the bit. Exactly. They have nothing to play. They really don't. They're locked. They are not moving out of that spot. I think the teams, they're 3.5 games, or they're at least 2.5 or 3.5 games up on the next team with 2 games left. So no, they are locked into that spot, not moving anywhere. And to my recollection, they can't catch Philly. I don't think they can catch Philly. Because they lost in reach. I don't think they can catch Philly. They're down too far there. So no, they're locked. So they have nothing to play for. Now they'll play players, but from a motivation standpoint, short week coming off a big emotional win, I think Tennessee's going to be okay in this one upcoming. And Tennessee's terrible right now. They lost like 5 straight. They look bad. But I think they're going to sneak that game out somehow. All right, what else are we talking about here? We're talking about Tampa Bay. I brought that up, and they're seeding. All right, so we talked about this one if you were with me on the live streams. And let me take a programming note. If you're not following me on Twitter, please do, at Jim Coventry NFL. It would mean a lot to me. Helps me with recognition and things like that, so I know people are out there. It also helps that I give you guys threads every week, running backs, receivers, usually tight ends, prop bet threads. I give you a lot of good information, actionable advice, give you some things to work with. And of course, on this forum right now, we do our live stream starts on Sundays, 2 hours before kickoff. There'll be one more of those, or maybe 2 more. I think 2 more. We'll do week 18 one. And then we do these videos like this. We do a total of 5 videos a week. So yeah, definitely follow us up here. So Derrick Henry, we said in our earlier shows that the way we would approach it, Henry wasn't going to get to 200 yards in this game. He had 4 straight 211 plus yard games with at least 2 touchdowns against Houston. I said, we'll go for 125 to 140. I think he was 129. It was right there. But it was fine. You take that for fantasy. But the whole thing, it's not Derrick Henry. It's the offensive line has gotten so bad. Nate Davis was out. They were already crumbling. They lost their right guard, Nate Davis. That was bad. The whole Tennessee team just is crumbling injury-wise, but Henry got it done. Now they lost the game, but is what it is there, right? Wesley, appreciate it, man. Thank you. But again, the big dog's fine. Alan Soslowski was asking me on Sirius XM yesterday about Henry and drafts next year. Look, I'm not fading him. I'm not aggressively targeting him next year, but if they get their line patched up a little bit, he'll be a solid top 10 running back because there isn't enough to show me that he's depleted. He's getting passes now. That addition to his game, that changes everything. Even if it's 2-3 catches, he's getting like yardage after the catch. So he, despite a bad line, has still been a very strong play almost every week. Justin Fields, oh, what a time to lay an egg. He had at least 25 fantasy points in every game since they turned him loose against New England in week 7. He put up 11. And look, Buffalo did a nice job. Buffalo kind of put a blanket out. They knew, that the wind was going to keep the passing game down. Fields made a really nice deep pass to Velus Jones. Jones got behind 2 defenders, and he basically threaded it in. But otherwise, they weren't going to give up a lot of room to work with. Chad, congratulations. You know what? Probably too early in the week for me to look. Well, if there's a Thursday night game, I'm not going to look at Waller's game until Wednesday morning, probably. Because I'm still on look back mode. I got to break all these games down and give you guys the best research possible going in. But I will say, Schultz, in theory, is a good play this week. Tennessee is just decimated at all levels, and that you can't run on them. So Schultz is a strong play. But Waller, I won't get to that game till Wednesday. So if you don't catch me on a video, you can tweet me at Jim Coventry in NFL when we hit Wednesday, and I'll definitely get you that way. All right, who else we got here? So Dallas. I'm Tennessee. So Derrick Henry. Now remember, Leighton Vander Esch for Dallas, and Dallas played well against the run against Philly. I was stunned with Vander Esch out. He was like the linchpin of that run defense, but they really, really stepped it up. So great job for them. But I do think with him out, Derrick Henry is going to be able to get the better of them. Now Dallas is going to stack the box. They're not worried about Malik Willis at all. They won't be worried. But I still think Henry gets out of this game with 80 yards, decent chance to score. So he'll be okay in your fantasy championship week. Talked about Justin Fields already. So, it is what it is. Roll forward with him, right? He'll be fine. It was just one of those games. It was a high win game. The defense played it smart, well-coached defense, and it just didn't work. They're playing Detroit this week. He scored 43 fantasy points against them. And look, I talk about Detroit. They're a beautiful team. I love them. But defensively, I said going into yesterday's game, don't fade your Carolina running backs because of all this buzz about them being a great defense. They're still not a good defense. And obviously, both Foreman and Hubbard went for over 125 yards against them. Fields will be just fine if you advance. Hopefully, you did. Or that windy game in Cleveland, the one takeaway from that, well, two of them. The New Orleans coaching, I don't get what they were doing. They're putting Andy Dalton as a drop back passer in 27-mile-per-hour winds. And basically, it was in the second half they put Taysom Hill in, and then they started moving the football. And some turnovers helped them too. But, in that game with those conditions, there was no choice but to make him a read option quarterback. And I told people my theory was that they would do. I just didn't think they'd do it for 2 quarters. They'd do it for 4. Now, Hill got it done for fantasy. He was at 50 yards rushing and a touchdown, so fine enough. But there should have been a lot more there. And Kamara should have had a much bigger game if they had used him in that read option in the whole game, because Cleveland was never going to be able to stop the run down 2 linebackers and Clowney from a unit that couldn't stop at the start. So, but Amari Cooper. So Cooper comes out of this game. He was the only receiver, only over 30 yards in the game. He had 72, and he could have or should have had a touchdown. He slipped in the end zone. There was residual snow from earlier in the day left in the end zone. They never cleaned up. He was getting ready to catch the ball, slipped, just couldn't hold on to the ball. But he would have had a monster day in that wind. I mean, that would have been over 20 fantasy points. So, it's going to be hit or miss until next year with Cooper. Just all year it's been, he gets targets, he doesn't get targets. Not his fault. He's been playing at a super high level. Assuming Watson, all the rust is off next year, you know what? I think you put Amari Cooper in as a top 10 receiver, and I don't think you blink, because we saw this year. We saw what he can do with Jacoby Brissett. Cooper is going to be a 1,500-yard guy if he gets the right amount of targets. And I think that Watson will view him as the alpha, and he'll use him that way. And the offense will have a little more latitude to throw the ball. So I think Cooper is going to be a really, really strong play next year. Geno Smith, oh, man. So he played the 49ers that one Thursday night, 1 touchdown there. Played the Chiefs. The Chiefs surprisingly been good against the pass. Per Pro Football Focus, their coverage is 4th. And then Tyler Lockett's out. And there was all garbage time, and he didn't get it done. 1 touchdown there. And now he's playing the Jets, and I don't see it being much better there. I don't know if we're going to see Tyler Lockett. Pete Carroll's already kind of hedging on that after the finger surgery. But again, those corners are legit, and they're great in New York. DJ Reed and obviously Ahmad Sauce Gardner, they're great. So it's going to be a bad matchup for Geno Smith. If you have another option, you have to seriously consider that, because Geno's going to end the season most likely on a really, really low note. Don't take anything away from him. It was just a bad run of schedule situation. He's been a really good quarterback. The Shane Waldron system, he runs that system well. If he gets his weapons back, Geno Smith should continue to be a solid fantasy option next year as well. Jared Goff, I told people to worry about him. Don't really play him this week. He throws for 300-something yards and 3 touchdowns. Process was right, man. I tell you that. Look, it was that they got behind, and they got way behind. And it was garbage time. It's like the fourth quarter. He had so many of those numbers in the fourth quarter, and he got them. And if you started them, beautiful. I'm happy you started them. But he had 1 or 0 touchdowns in every road game until this one. This game was going down that same path. And then Shane Zylstra scores 3 touchdowns. What do you even do with that, right? But anyway, good for Goff. Good for the Lions in terms of scoring points. But they lost the game, obviously. But the process was right on that. Goff was not playing well, but we never know in these garbage. You're not going to predict Carolina to blow out anybody. And when they basically did, it just opened the floodgates, because they really aren't good against the pass. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown looked great. That was good. Jameson Williams still not playing. 17% or less snaps, 1 or so targets a game, so not much there. And then Deontay Foreman, we said to start him this week. Hopefully you did. I was worried in the first drive. First drive was like Hubbard had 70 yards. Foreman wasn't on the field. And then all of a sudden, Foreman gets in. He out carries them like 20-12, and all as well. Both did well. If you started both of them, you're in great shape there. But otherwise, the rushing attack is legit, and their blocking is good. The investments in that offensive line in Carolina did work, and I'm looking forward to them next year, because I think that line's going to get even better. So this is a team, if they can get something done with the quarterback position at some point somehow, there could be some goodness going on there eventually. But that quarterback is critical. And they have, Sam Darnold, great, whatever, but that's nothing there. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh, the Minnesota pass defense, ugh. I mean, when Daniel Jones is throwing for 330 and you've got we're fine with Slayton going off, but when you got Hodgins going off and Richie James going off, that went for like 80 plus yards. That's horrible. The Vikings are going to be locked into that 2 spot, it looks like. And depending who they play in that first round, hopefully they don't play a team with a strong passing attack, because if they do, that could be problematic for them, because I don't know how they're going to hold anybody down, but it is not good right now. What else we want to talk about here? Drake London coming on here. You know what? Saloa was asking on Instagram, right now I don't know that Derrick Henry wouldn't play. If they listed him out for practice, that's typical. When you get 25 carries on a Sunday and you have a short week game, none of those guys practice on Monday. So if that's the case, and I hadn't seen anything to this point, I checked maybe half an hour before about any reports and saying, but if that's the report, Henry's playing. Whoa, you know what though? Hang on that one. That's a great question. Because you're right. They have a play-in game the following week. But you know what? I do think they're going to play it this week, because they have extra rest before the Jacksonville game, and they got to win. They are on a 5-game losing streak. I don't think Mike Vrabel is going to go into that game and say, you know what? Let's just lose this, go 6 straight losses, and then come out and try to win. I think he's going to need some momentum. Now, if they had lost 1 or 2 in a row, might be different. I don't think he can go down a 5-game losing streak, losing to Houston, and just say, let's just, circle it back and just take our chances. I don't think he could do that. So I do think Henry's going to play. I do think he's going to play. I think they now, if they fall way behind, could they pull starters? Maybe. But Vrabel's got to get that ship on track. And I know they're injured, but he's got no choice. You just can't roll the dice going into week 18 and saying we're going to rock the way we are. Jahan Dotson. Oh, so Drake London I was on. Drake London, oh my gosh. So yeah, just getting Ritter in there, right? Ritter's not throwing for a bunch of yards, but they're going to London. And so finally he's getting used like the alpha he is. I mean, right now, crude ranking, Drake London's got to be a top 25 receiver, right? I mean, if he's getting 7 to 10 targets, and I mean, he could be higher than that. I got to see who, we obviously got a lot of players that fit in that top 25. There's a lot of great receivers. Sometimes we got 2 on 1 team like Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. So, but he's definitely in the top 25 mix. I don't know where exactly he'll fall, but Drake London is kind of what we thought he was early in the season. He was getting the ball and producing. Then they just stopped throwing him the ball, but it's looking really good there. And Jahan Dotson, oh my gosh, the dude is a star. Playing with Taylor Heineke and then a little bit with Carson Wentz, but it's 3 games in a row, at least 50 yards and a touchdown. He is the real deal. Very excited to see what their quarterback situations like here. But Jahan Dotson is a star. You need to start him in fantasy championship week. Again, I'm not going to break down the matchups till Wednesday, but he is somebody you definitely have to consider at this point. And then, oh man, Brock Purdy getting it done. Throw the ball to George Kittle. He figured that out, and man, great things are happening. So who was the beneficiary of Debo being out? I think we figured that one out. I was saying it would be McCaffrey. No, because teams are loading up on McCaffrey. It's George Kittle. And oh my gosh, when he gets turned loose, look, I no offense to Travis Kelce, he's a Hall of Fame player, but there is not even any comparison of who the better tight end is. Kittle blocks. That's the difference. If Kittle was in Kansas City with Mahomes, Kittle will be putting up 1,800 yards and 20 touchdowns. Nobody would ever stop him, like ever, because Travis Kelce, he might be a tight end size. He's getting tackled. Kittle's running over people. Kittle is just running over, and he's running by people. There is no comparison. Like my comparison of Kittle talent-wise, we're talking the Gronk league with him back in the day when Gronk was, because like I said, they both smash people in the run game, pass protect, great receivers. Man, great to see Kittle like weaponized. Last one. Hopefully those that needed a quarterback, I told you real early last week, Minshew. I said the floor was 230 and 2 touchdowns. He ends up getting 300 and runs for once. We get you 3. So, yeah, it was a great setup. Again, we'll look at the matchup this week and, when we get to Wednesday if you need help. But there was no reason to think that he wouldn't be absolutely fine. All right, let's get a couple of questions here. All right. And he said, Isaac, thanks for being here. Sauger, thoughts regarding so Herbert at 279, Foles at 229 yards passing in the Monday night game. So when we look at this game, Indy's very good against the run. and the Chargers can't run. They're the worst run blocking in the league. They don't want to run. And so they're going to have to move the ball through the air. Now, Indy is a lower pressure rate team. They get very, very little pressure. They have a great interior line with Grover, Stewart, and DeForest Buckner, but they're really great run defenders. They could create pressure up the middle, but Justin Herbert breaks contain. So that's not an issue. So the lack of pressure rate, the inability to run because the defense is going to crush that, they got to throw. And some people are talking about Mike Williams. They're worried about Stephon Gilmore. Seriously? Stephon Gilmore, he's at his best days. He still can bully some people. He ain't bullying Mike Williams. Mike Williams is going to bully him. You throw the ball up in the air, it's Mike Williams who will go up and get it. It's not going to be Stephon Gilmore. Gilmore can still bully the little dudes. Ain't Mike Williams. And Keenan Allen's in a great spot here. Josh Palmer should get some. Austin Eckler's not quite 100%, but he'll get used in the screen game. I think that Herbert goes over 300 yards here. I think he has to go over 300. That's the only way they're going to move the ball. And the other side, Foles, the Chargers are really good against the pass, and they bring a lot of pressure. Great, great, great pressure schemes. So, I think when we're looking at that, Foles is in trouble. Foles is going to get hit. Foles is going to have time to throw. I think Foles is going under that number. I think Foles is going to struggle to get to 200 yards here in this game. Isaac. So yeah, we talked about the Cowboys. But it's too early to shut down. It's too early to shut down. If they have dinged up players, they might rest them. But it's too early. They got to play at least another game. They do have to play. But I do think they're going to lose this game. And thanks again, Wesley. Again, thanks for hitting the like, subscribe button. Appreciate it. Randy, you had the misfortune of the Broncos defense. Herbert scored under 20. I mean, the only thing you can hang your hope on is he has one touchdown pass each of his last 3 games. It's just kind of been weird like that. You would need that to happen. You would need him to throw for his yardage and then just somehow not come up with the touchdowns. It's an NFL game, right? Anything can happen. And maybe Indy gets this great run thing and they shorten the game. It's possible. I do think that the Chargers are better against the run than they were. Admiral Minshew or Tua, if Hurts is shut down. Well, the problem is that Philly is going to lock down the 1 seed. So they're already resting Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson's out for the season. He's their great tackle. We're going to start seeing people who are nicked up benched. Not everybody, but enough. Tua, however, I don't like him against New England. Bill Belichick has the book on him now. There's so many ways you can get to Tua. So this week I like, and I won't dig into the matchup until Wednesday. I'm still looking backwards, doing my research to prepare for next week. But right now off the cuff, I would lean Minshew this week, which rest of the season is that 1 game. Because I don't know if you're playing week 18. So if it is, but again, I got to check matchups. But right now, I would assume Minshew is good for a week. But Tua against New England, I'm not liking that one. And Isaac, thoughts on Adams? Should you bench him for guys? Right now, no. All right, it was one of those games. It was one of the 6 or 7 weather games that were awful. Winds were like nearly 15 mile an hour. I know there's some residual snow. It was super cold. The game plan was weird. So, no, you're not benching Adams. Adams will be just fine. This game it was one of those things. I talked about a team playing on Christmas night. It was one of those things. You play on Christmas Day, you're out of the playoffs. There's just so many variables with that. So I have no qualms on him. Isaac, Chuba over Kamara. Kamara did okay last week. Chuba, and I'm not looking at the matchups for week 17 until Wednesday. And I know I was doing a cursory look at something. I thought Kamara had a good matchup. I moved him up. I have Kamara very high in my rankings. I know I had Chuba somewhere in the 20s at running back. It's real risky with him. He's got to make something happen on limited touches. Kamara, I had him, whatever the matchup is, my cursory look, I had him up high. I moved him specifically up because of his matchup. He's looked better the last few weeks. Admiral, you're welcome. All right, everybody. Appreciate you. Thank you for hanging. Be back on Tuesday and Wednesday. Have a great day. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we will talk soon.